سلام 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 peaceful, peaceful, peaceful.
When I was in the process of trying to convert a Muslim from Egypt to become a Christian, I discovered a lot of things that I didn't know. I had assumed, wrongly, that all Muslims were terrorists, hijackers, kidnappers, that they didn't believe in God, they didn't love Jesus, they worship a black box in the desert, they kiss the ground 5 times a day. This is pretty much what we had been told. These were the things that, the kind of rhetoric that was pumped into our heads. And when we were out here doing, quote, missionary work, these were some of the misconceptions that we suffered on in those days. The person that I had targeted for conversion was named Muhammad Abdul Rahman from Egypt, and he was a very sweet, kind man. And we even wound up working together, traveling together, and we go long distances in Texas, where I lived at the time, and all the way I would be doing these dialogues with him, which were basically me trying to convert him. At one point, you observe there's a world around you, and of course you'd say, yes, so how did it get there? Well, for the atheist, of course, there was this big bang took place, boom, everything just jumped out of nothing, you know, just all of a sudden, and then there was, you know, this world that was covered with water, had blue-green algae all over it, then all of a sudden this bacteria started eating it up, and then those little amoeboids come around, and some bigger ones started eating them, and a bigger one got those, and they never bothered to tell you where all these things came from. Even in one of the books, I swear, I saw it, one of the books is showing how birds were created, or sorry, evolved. Don't use that word. How birds evolved. It was fish, you know, jumping out of the water, trying to, you know, for millions of years they were jumping out of the water to eat those flying things that were coming over, like bugs and things are flying over. And after so many, you know, millions of years of doing that, I'm not joking. This is what it said. And I'm looking at this going, hold on a second, guys. Where did the bugs come from? You didn't even... You said they were coming jumping for these bugs. So this is no logic in this. These aren't even theories. This is somebody who didn't even take the time to think. You can catch somebody real fast. Did human beings come from monkeys? Stop and think. You've been told that. Every one of us has been told that. This is what the books say clearly. Think about it. And you look at human beings, and you look at monkeys. You know what's interesting about this? You can look at human beings, and you can look at monkeys. You haven't caught it yet, have you? If there's such a thing as humans evolved from monkeys, how come we still have monkeys? Did you even think about that? So what, have they been evolved yet? Duh! If it was really like these guys are saying, this survival of the fittest, you know, that's kind of how they bring this thing, then all of those things that we have out here wouldn't be there. In fact, you know what one of the oldest things on earth is? Cockroaches. How many of you knew that? Cockroaches are one of the oldest things on earth. And they're the most fragile. You can look at a cockroach and he just dies. But 1,000 more will be there tomorrow, right? Evolution. And there's no evidence anywhere that any species ever evolved to another species. Evolution's within species. Anybody heard of somebody by the name of Charles Darwin? Was he an expert in his field or an amateur? It's well known he was an amateur. In fact, it was a hobby for him. He didn't really know what he was saying. The only reason he became popular is because there were some people who liked what he was saying and they were promoting it because it served their purpose. What was the thing that really brought him to a lot of his conclusions. What one thing was it that he discovered, so-called discovered, that made him sure that there was evolution? Anybody know? Finches. Where? He was in the Galapagos Islands off the coast of Ecuador. Now those islands all have different ecological systems. In other words, you have heavy rocks on one, sand on another, trees on another. So the same exact bird is living on these different places. But in each place, the bird has a different bill. The shape of the bill is different to be able to eat what's available on that island. And when he go from island to island, he observed that, and he said, well, there's evolution. Never stop to think that they're all alive at the same time. He didn't take into consideration that they had adjusted to their environment. He didn't take into consideration that each and every one of them is alive. He just said that's evolution, trying to prove some points that he had believed that he read from other people who were more or less scientists in their areas. But they only had theories. But in October of 1998, there was a special on PBS talking about the effects of El Nino. Anybody heard about it? They only showed it once. It never showed again. You know what El Nino is? Anybody know El Nino? That weather phenomenon that was going across that part of the world, and it would be warm at the wrong time of the year, cold at the wrong time of the year, and we had that going on for a couple of years. It was a strange phenomenon. Okay? And how it affected the Galapagos Islands, the same place. And so here they're showing